All right, let's go ahead and get started. This will be recorded as well. So if anybody wants to catch up after, send it to any colleagues or friends, they can absolutely do so. Again, for the next 30 minutes or so, you're going to have Matt and myself talking about our distribution control center and ShipRush applications, which are both directly built into Dynamics 365 Business Central. Your presenters for today, as previously mentioned, you're going to have Matt. He's going to be going through the live demo here in about 3 minutes. And you've got myself. I'll just be going high level over some of the agenda, the gaps, solutions we have, and some of the next steps that you can take in order to be successful with these two applications. Last July, we formed Rux Software as a combination of Open Door Technology and ERP Connect, now all being and working under the brand of Rux. So we do have about 40 different apps. We've got a lot of industry agnostic tools, which are more the BC Toolbox that we'll be talking about today. And we also have some deep vertical specialization in both the rental and service industries. So if you have any other needs outside of what we're talking about today, specifically focused on, again, distribution and warehousing, things like that, don't hesitate to reach out and we can absolutely show you some of those other tools. So for today's agenda, we're going to keep it short and sweet, just like we always do. First, we're going to go over some of the gaps that exist in Business Central today. Then we're going to go over the two solutions that we've got and how they can help fill these gaps. And then next, Matt will go through a live demo of both these applications, the Distribution Control Center, which is more that kind of WMS, and then the ShipRush tool, which is going to be that shipping integrator tool so that you can actually shop rates and all that jazz directly in Business Central. Then we'll go over some next steps, resources, and for the Q&A, as previously mentioned, just drop your questions in the chat as I kind of previously noted there, and we'll go ahead and answer those as the presentation goes. So quickly here, just some gaps in general in Business Central that both these tools encompass. Just kind of general pick, pack, ship via a sales order and having to use warehouse documents. Some people find those to be overly complex, both from a setup and a day-to-day use standpoint. Automatically releasing warehouse to the warehouse when a sales order is released. No easy way for sales, customer service, and warehouse to sync and kind of communicate and make sure that everything's in the right spot in the warehouse. And no out-of-box way to integrate shipping with sales orders, which again we'll get into with that ShipRush piece. Again, not gonna read through all these, but kind of just again, tough to push that sales order information automatically when you're rate shopping. Integrating the freight cost can be difficult. Visibility can be difficult, and then no easy way to print standard documents for shipments like bills of lading or commercial invoices and things like that. And then finally, the notification piece, which we have a handful of apps. So I want to focus on the solutions. The first one being the Distribution Control Center app that we're going to be talking about today. So when you think of picking, packing, shipping, receiving, put away, all of these things, first on the sales and customer side, pick, pack, ship. We're going to help you streamline that. We're going to show you how all of that works today. We're going to show you how that automatic release function works, sending our documents to the warehouse to be picked, packed, and shipped to, again, streamline that and make things super fast and efficient for your folks in the warehouse. Talked about that receiving piece, right? Receive, put away, kind of attaching any attachments or things like that if there's anything wrong with the items that you've received from your vendors, all that fun stuff. And then finally, the ability to do cycle counts, inventory adjustments, all that type of stuff, depending on what you need, both on the inventory inside, right, the receive and putaways, as well as the inventory out, the pick, pack, and ship side. Next, we're going to be talking about ShipRush. So the easiest way to explain ShipRush, right, is just that rate shopping and integration into Business Central. So we can do things like USPS, UPS, FedEx, DHL. There's a longer list of that, but that's what we'll focus on today since those are some of the main players. A couple of my favorite things, pulling the freight cost back into Business Central from ShipRush, right? If it costs $10 to ship, you can either charge your customer 10, you can write it off and not charge them anything, or you can even mark it up maybe 10% and charge them $11. We'll show you how all of that works. Pulling the tracking back into Business Central is huge, right? If we're shipping stuff out, we don't want to be maintaining two systems. That tracking number will be directly in Business Central so that you can kind of look it up and see where things are at. If there's any questions or inquiries, especially from your clients potentially calling in, fulfilling orders in Business Central, again, having the documentation and everything needed there in order to streamline that piece. And then finally, we need some labels and some packing slips and stuff like that. And with our ShipRush integration, we can pull information from Business Central and ShipRush in order to create both of these documents and slap a label on the box and make sure that they also have a pack slip to confirm what they've received when this shows up at your customer. So with that, again, don't want to spend a ton of time on the PowerPoint. I want to jump right into the demo since we've got a limited amount of time. Matt, I'll pass it to you to jump into Business Central, and I'll monitor the chat while you go.
Awesome. Sounds good. Thanks, Ben.
Yep.
Without further ado, right into our live demo again. As questions come up, throw them in the chat. We'll either address them as they come up or once we get to a break. So I guess right off the bat here, we've got our one role center that you'll get with Distribution Control Center. So this is going to be just really intended for use on a tablet, right? So nice large buttons that I can come in and click. We're going to get through pretty much all of these options actually, so don't need to go through any of them now, but just always like to call out the different role centers that we have available. Okay, to start the process off, I'm going to go ahead and create a new sales order here. All right, and again, I always like to call this out for folks that are maybe joining us for the first time. Distribution Control Center, like all of our other apps, is going to be built directly inside of Business Central, fully embedded. ShipRush is actually probably the only one of our apps that isn't directly embedded in Business Central. I'll show the actual pop-out integration here in a second. All right, TT demo 1. So we're just going to go through, add a couple lines to my sales order here. I'll do some signs, some coffee mugs. I'll go ahead and do desk here as well. 3 of those, 5, 3. All right, we'll also see on here, I'm sure I'll get a question about it. The reason these lines are showing up as red and italicized is actually coming from another extension, our advanced sales orders. Not going to be going through that today. We'll probably do a Toolbox Tuesday on that in a couple months here, but this is just letting me know that my margin is a little bit low on these 3 lines. That's why they're showing up as red and italicized. All right, so I've got my sales order built out here. Few things to call out. So we've got this Distribution Control Center box in here. If I want to change my order priority for the warehouse to see, or whoever's sending these picks out, I can switch that to urgent, and then I'll put some instructions in here to double pack this order. And what was that? LED signs will be cross-docked. All right. So I'm happy with my order here. I'm also going to throw in a requested delivery date of Friday, update the lines, and then I will go ahead and release this order. All right, once I do that, you'll see this release to warehouse toggle gets automatically turned on. So like Ben said, just one action of releasing my sales order, and that's going to go ahead and send it out to the warehouse to start our pick, pack, and ship process. Right, so from here, I can go into Distribution Control Center. On here, I'll see a list of every order that I've got that is still open, so I can see what's released, what's being picked, certain things that aren't available, right? So again, sorting here by order priority, most urgent to least urgent, right? I can see this second line here. This is the one that I just created, right? So I've got 3 lines on here, and I've got 1 item that's short. So this LED signage, I've only got 2 on hand. We need to send 3 out, so that's why I'm seeing this 1003 -1. I'll get into how we're going to actually receive more of these in from vendor and then ship them out in one swift motion. But first, let's go ahead and pick and pack what we do already have available. All right, so I'll come in here and I'm going to select create pick batch. In this case, I'm just doing 1 sales order. If I wanted to do a pick batch with 2, 3, 10, however many orders I want, I can do that by using the multi-select. In this case, since it's a priority order, we're just going to issue this one out to the warehouse and get this order started. All right, so on here, printing that physical paper pick ticket if I need one for the warehouse to pick off of. In this example, I'm going to show picking directly from the system, but you can also absolutely utilize that paper if needed. Right, so on here I can see the pick batch that was created. If I want to create, or if I want to open the pick right from here, I can, but kind of switching hats to the actual warehouse employee that's going to be picking this, I'll go ahead and go back to our warehouse tablet role center. So in here, I'll go ahead and select pick batch, and I will see all three of these pick batches that have either been started or just created. All right, so this last one was that one that I went ahead and issued out just now. I'll go ahead and start this pick. All right, so you'll see for visibility, those warehouse instructions that I added are going to get popped up right here. So really hard to miss. Again, this is just one order, one set of warehouse instructions. If I had 5 different orders in here, as I switch through those orders on my pick, I'll see those relevant warehouse instructions pop up. All right, so 2 options to actually register these picks. I can either use this to scan in each of my quantities, or I can just manually add the quantity that's being picked, right? I'll see the bin code, where this item currently resides in, item number, description, document number, what line number this is, and then the staging bin. So this is the bin that we're going to put the items in before they go ahead and get sent out the door, right? So we're taking it from no bin into the staging bin. One additional thing to call out here, the order of the picks that you see will be in alphabetical order by shelf and by bin. So that way you can organize your warehouse in a way where your pickers are taking the most efficient route in order to get all of that quantity picked. All right, so I'll go ahead and pick these first 5. Go ahead, go into my next pick, add my quantity of 3 on here. At this point, if I want to print any different item labels, I can do that. Since these are stock items, I probably already have labels printed for when they were received in. But in the case that I want to print a pick label or a stock label, I can do that right from my pick batch. All right, so again here, I've got 2 lines to be picked. That first line, we didn't have enough quantity, so we didn't generate a pick for it. I'll go ahead and complete this batch. And I'll go back to Distribution Control Center to call out a few things, right? If I want to print a packing list at this point, I can. Because I haven't fully packed it yet, I'm actually going to hold off on this until we cross-dock in this last item. All right, so again, for the sake of time, that's going to be the only pick batch I'm going to show for now. In a real-life scenario, I would go through all of the picks that I have for the day, right? I can start them, maybe pick 2 lines, leave, come back, and just manage all of my picks directly from this DCC pick batch screen. All right, so switching hats back to the kind of warehouse manager, whoever's going to be monitoring all of this. Let me go into my TT Demo 1 order. All right, so I can see my process status has now been updated to packing. And then down here on my order lines, I'll see a quick visual cue for what's already been packed. All right, so these 2 lines are both green and bold. That's a quick way for me to know these lines have both been fully packed. Right, and I can also see that quantity packed as 5 and 3 on here respectively. Okay, so if I wanted to ship this partial, I could ship these out now. In this example, I'm going to actually go ahead and receive in some of this LED signage from a vendor, cross-dock it, and send everything out, ship complete via ShipRush. Okay, to do that, I've already got a PO in here. Just got to find the right external document number. There we go, TT01. All right, so I've already got my PO staged in here for the LED signage, quantity of 5 at that same location. If you remember back on the tablet roll center, I had the PO receiving there. I can also access the dedicated DOPO receiving or DCC PO receiving directly from the purchase order. All right, so I'm going to launch this. For those of you that saw Feature Friday 2 weeks ago, this should look pretty familiar. Going to go ahead and go through all of it again, right? So what you're seeing here is going to be a trimmed down version of the purchase order, right? Only the fields that the warehouse or whoever's receiving this PO actually needs to see. Once I open this, my quantity to receive has already been loaded. I can modify that on here or load the full quantity. If this is a 10-line order, I don't want to go in and manually add that quantity to receive. If I want to print a receiving checklist, I can go ahead and do that from here. Right, pretty straightforward on this one, just one line, and I've got that line for the quantity to receive on here. All right, if I want to notify the purchaser if there's anything wrong with the items that have been received, I can go ahead and select this option from here and type that message, say, one of the items has a broken screen. Please come look at it in the warehouse. Go ahead and save that, close it, and that's going to go out and send an email notification to whoever the purchaser is on the document with the body text that I put in there. If I want to attach a physical receipt from the vendor, I can select this. It'll give me my drag and drop. I can also just utilize the drag and drop over in the fact box. And then I can also attach a picture. So if I'm receiving on a tablet, right, see my face on there. I'm not going to actually take that picture, but if I'm receiving on a tablet and I want the purchaser to know, or anyone to know where in the warehouse these goods are, or in the case that something's damaged, I want to take a picture, I can do that right from here. Okay, otherwise at this point, I'm going to go ahead and select post. This is going to receive in these 5 LED signs, and then right off the bat, my crossdock worksheet will launch. All right, so on this crossdock worksheet, I will see the quantity that was received and the bin codes that these items need to be put into. All right, I can go ahead and calculate my crossdock. This is going to tell me, which of these two, and it looks like based on the planned shipment date. So typically the calculate crossdock will go out and look at my released orders and suggest which orders to pack these to. I can also come in and manually make that description here, right? So I'll say I want to crossdock 3 of them. That's going to update my quantity to stock as 2, and then my quantity to pack to this sales order that we were working off of as 3. All right, we'll go ahead and select the staging bin. And also if I come over here to my cross-docking notes, this is telling me that this will complete the packing of the order. So since we already have 2 of the 3 lines packed, if I go ahead and pack this 3rd line via cross-dock, this order is going to be ready to go out the door. All right, from here, I can print my put away report. This will show me how many items I'm stocking, how many items I'm cross-docking to that one or multiple orders. All right, so I can see in here, we've allocated 3 of these items to sales order ending in 5/7, and 2 of these items are going to be going to stock. Okay, another area where I can print labels, and I'm now realizing I forgot to call that out on the PO receipt. We also have the ability to print stock labels right when we receive the items. In the case that you're cross-docking and you don't know how many are being stocked or how many are being cross-docked, you can also wait until this step, right? So I can come in, print my stock labels, or print my cross-dock labels. All right, so cross-dock label will give me the sales order number, the customer PO number, item name, and the customer name. So this is just a way to kind of soft reserve this inventory. In this example, we already packed 2 of the 3 lines, but maybe in an example where the first line is cross-docked and we're waiting to pack the rest of the stock items, we want to soft reserve these for a certain customer and a certain document number.
Hey, Matt, on that question for just printing things in general, we did have one question come in. I'm not sure if you answered it previously, but just do the bin locations also show on those pick tickets on the sales side?
Yes. On the physical pick ticket, yes, and also on the actual screen in BC, it'll show the bin you need to pull it from and the bin you need to put it into.
Awesome, thank you.
Yep. All right. So again, if you guys are familiar with BC, kind of a similar workflow here where we've got quantity to pack and quantity packed. So right now I'm saying we're going to stock 2, we're going to pack 3. Once I go ahead and generate my cross-dock here, it'll move that from quantity to packed into quantity packed. And now it'll let me know, hey, this order is fully packed. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and go back to Distribution Control Center here. Scroll up, I've got this order. You'll see that first line is now green and bold, letting me know it's been fully packed. Next step here is going to be to complete the packing and then go ahead and send this out via ShipRush. All right, so I'll go ahead, go into pack order. At this point, think of like a warehouse manager or just someone that's going to be coming in and saying, hey, yep, all of this stuff has been packed, we're ready to send it out. All right, I can come in here, print my packing list now if I want to put this in the box that we're sending out. All right, or just complete the packing of this order. All right, once I complete that packing, I'll see my status is now ready to ship, right? So I can come in here and just filter on what's ready to ship, what's ready to deliver. We also have the ability to add standard BC filters, save views on here. Otherwise, we're ready to send this out via ShipRush. Once I click ship, you'll see two options here. So we've got ship order, dispatch order. Again, not enough time here to go through our dispatch module, but that is an option if you're going to be sending anything out on your own trucks or your own vans. Otherwise, if we're sending things out via standard UPS, FedEx, LTL, really any carrier, we're going to go ahead and use ShipRush. All right, so on here, I'll see I've got a collect account number for this customer. So I would have the ability to charge their UPS or FedEx account depending on which account number that's for. All right, and then just one last chance here to review everything that's in this package before we launch ShipRush. Again, another chance to print the packing slip as well. All right, for the sake of time, I'll go ahead and launch ShipRush here. I'm actually going to do FedEx. All right, when I go to pick my service, I need to add my weight first. All right, I can go ahead, estimate my cost and delivery date. In here, this is a sandbox, so I don't see everything in here. Declared value, that's why. All right, so now I'll estimate that cost and delivery date. In the sandbox, it's going to be a mix of certain things, right? But you can customize what services and what agents you see here. So I'll see on here, FedEx Ground is going to be the cheapest. We'll go ahead and do that. And I'm going to pay for this to show charging the freight back. In here, I manually entered the weight. You do have the ability in ShipRush to connect to a scale if you want to just weigh the box before you send it out. And I'll go ahead and add my dimensions in here. Right, and then at this point, last step is going to be to actually ship this out. So once I click ship, it's going to print a label. In this case, it's downloading the label just directly to my computer. ShipRush also does have what they call cloud print available. So if you want to print something from a computer that maybe isn't in the warehouse, you want that label to just be printed out in the warehouse, you can set that up as well. Right. Once I do that, I'm going to toggle charge ShipRush freight on. I'll see some data points passed back to Business Central. So we've got that tracking number, the freight cost, and then what we're charging. So on the ShipRush setup, I have probably a 10% markup set up, and then the weight and dimensions and declared values from ShipRush. All right, at this point, I can go ahead and post my shipment. And then a few things to call out once I do that. And to go back to my sales order. All right, and again, two options for what happens when I click ship. I could have that set to also invoice this order. For the demo, I did want to show how we add the shipping and handling as its own line with the amount, and then we also add a tracking number with the actual tracking number in there. If I was doing multiple shipments, this tracking number will update with what's actually been shipped and the actual tracking number, right? Only other thing to call out here, notification-wise, like Ben said, a handful of different ways we can send out notifications when things have been shipped. We can either do that through ShipRush or through invoice and statement delivery using our sales shipment notifications. Right, and then I know we've only got 4 minutes here. Last thing I'll show is going to be on the item inquiry. This is going to allow me to scan an item number in or just manually type it in. It'll tell me how many of the, or what's this item called, and then how many do we have in all of our locations. I can also come in here and print labels directly from this item inquiry. And then last thing will be our cycle counts. All right, I don't have anything scheduled, so I'm just going to do a one-off count for 1006 in silver. All right, we can set this up to do blind count. So in this case, I have 96 in this bin, but if I wanted to do a blind count and not show that quantity on hand, I can do that. Say, hey, we've actually got 97 that I counted, and I will go ahead and post that. Any other questions? Jeffrey, what if the order needs to go into 2 boxes packages for shipping? Does it show what items are in which box? Yes. So if you recall on, I can show this on Distribution Control Center. So we handled that through packages. TT demo 01. So if I go back into my packages screen, all right, in this case, this one is actually cleared out, but you can go into package content and you'll see what quantities are in which package. So if I went ahead and shipped another package, it would be package 94, and I'll see the actual quantities of each of those items that are in that package. All right, and Ben, I apologize. I only left you 2 minutes here, but go ahead and bring the presentation back up here.
Yep, no worries at all. I can run through it pretty quickly. So appreciate the presentation there. You just jump over to the, yeah, there you go. Slide 9, I think it is. All right, so next steps, anything that you saw in the demo today, if you like it, you can download it directly into your sandbox environment and play around with it free for 30 days. This is not only going to work for Distribution Control Center and ShipRush that we looked at today, it's going to work for all the different Toolbox applications that we have. Matt, if you could grab that activation video, or I guess you're sharing your screen, so I can do it after the chat, but that'll probably open up a new one for you. But that activation video is going to kind of walk you through how to go through that setup, user permissions, generating the demo key, and all that good stuff so that you can actually use it for 30 days. And of course, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me, and I'm more than happy to assist with that free trial. If you want to go to the next slide, some resources that we have that'll be super helpful that will also drop in the chat here. We've got our product page as well as our app source listings, or I guess it's called Marketplace now, so we should probably update that. But what this is going to include is summaries of each application, what they can do, kind of the things you saw today. We've got screenshots for every app, so what you can expect to see in some of the workflows that are available within each app. And then we've also got full-blown user and setup guides. So this is going to literally walk you through like step-by-step from user permissioning all the way through physically using the application in practice. We've also got a YouTube channel. This is going to have like over 100 videos on walkthroughs, and we'll also take this video today and upload it there. So it's got a ton of demos, both pre-recorded as well as webinar style like this one. And then finally, our product guide. This is going to have a one-pager for every single app that we've got. It's about 40. It's going to have a fit gap analysis for every single application, as well as some common things that we see that come up where it's a good fit for users. So I'd highly recommend checking that product guide out if you're interested in any of our other products, and it'll also give you kind of a heads up on the level of effort you can expect for configuration and training time, how long these things are actually going to take in practice to get up and running. So I mentioned a bunch of other apps that we've got. At the beginning of this call, again, we've got those industry-specific vertical tools, the RUX Rentals and the RUX Service. Highly recommend checking those out if you are in those industries and need those types of tools. And then everything else is pretty agnostic to industry, and it's more so just if you're using Business Central, which I would assume everybody on this call is, so is Business Central focused. These are just tools for everybody in order to optimize their system a little bit more efficiently. I talked about the product guide. You can scan this QR code on this next slide. That'll take you to a download link to actually download that product guide. So I'll leave this up for about 10 seconds. Highly encourage everybody to scan that and take a look at it. Again, one pagers for every app that we've got. And then Matt, if you just want to go to the 14th slide, if you want to connect with us, or go one more there. If you want to connect with us, best place to do so is on LinkedIn. You can connect with Matt or myself personally, as well as follow along with our RUX software page. This will give you real-time updates on upcoming webinars, product releases, release notes, anything you can imagine that we're doing. We'll be announcing it there on our RUX software page. And then finally, we've got another webinar coming up on Tuesday, March 24th. This is going to be part of our Rental Essentials series. So if you, again, have any rental needs, we're going to be specifically talking about dispatching. And again, that's going to be at 11:30 a.m. Central Time on March 24th. You can just scan that QR code and that'll bring you to a link to sign up. So again, I know we're about 2 minutes over. Appreciate everybody sticking around. I'll stick around for a few more minutes to answer any of these other questions, and we can go from there. Really appreciate everybody's time today, and we'll talk to you soon.